Hey everyone. Today we're going to do some routine maintenance. We're going to change the oil on my 2001 Suburban. For those of you who are familiar with this process and what to do and where to find the filter and all that, I'm going to first show you something that a lot of people don't know how to do because it's kind of a tricky process. We're going to reset your change engine oil light. So I'm going to put that at the beginning of the video, even though I'm going to actually do it after. So if you only really care about that, stick around, it's coming right up. All right, this is an odd process, but I'm going to show you real quick how to get your message center, which is right here, to not tell you you have to change your oil. So watch. Okay, I'm just going to go from, see, change engine oil. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to reset it. So the vehicle has to be off. Take your key, put it to on, and press your gas pedal once, twice, 3 times. Put your key off. So now we're going to start it. And let's see. There you go. No change engine oil light. So that's it. With your vehicle off, put your key in the on position and press your accelerator 1, 2, 3 times. Shut the key off. And that resets it. Now, it will come back on in 3,000 miles because I think that's the way they're set to come on. So you can just then do the same thing. I tend to use the trip odometer, and I'll reset it by holding the button in, puts it back to 0. And so now I know from 0 how many miles are on this oil change, because I don't use the trip odometer for anything else. So it's good for that. Okay, for me, when I crawl under a vehicle, since it's not on a lift or anything like that, I don't have a creeper. So I'm just gonna flatten out this box that's on its way to the recycle bin and use that. Makes it a little easier and a little cleaner. Okay, got everything I need. So this is my collection of oil filter wrenches. I kind of keep them all in a separate toolbox. I believe this is the one I want for this. It's the same one I use on the Avalanche. And to use it, you need a 3/8 drive and an extension. In this case, I'm actually going to use my SK wrench and little set that I found. This is the exact, this actually comes in here. I got this from the Spartan Champion toolbox that I did. So I'm going to give it a shot. It's SK, can't go wrong. And a lot of people use those drain pans for changing their oil. I actually prefer using something like this, which is essentially for a sink, a dish pan. And once we get under there, I'll explain why I prefer this. All right, so let's go under. Okay, I rolled it on the ramp. Even though this is a 4x4, I put it on the ramp because this has a little bit less room. A skinny guy like me can have some trouble under it. My Avalanche is a lot easier to use. So, what we're looking for, hold on, I'm holding the camera with a clamp. We're looking for our drain plug, which is right here. So we're going to use the 15 mil, I believe, on that. Yep, 15 mil. And we're going to use the filter wrench on that. Right there. So let's see if I got the filter wrench correct. Yep, I do. Okay. Let me set that. So all we're going to do is, oh, it's tight. Hold on, I'm going to use 2 hands on this guy. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. A little difficult with this. I don't know why it's so tight. I put it on, but they do tend to tighten up. Whew. This is why you only hand tighten your filter when you put it on. Okay, now, reason why I like this it's just easier to maneuver around. I guess there's no way to avoid it. I'm going to get oil on myself, and I haven't put my gloves on yet. Let me quickly take care of that. There we go. There we go. Are we sticking again? Ah, it's weird. I think it's hitting the extension on the metal here. Yep, that's what it's doing. Oh well. That's okay, I'm already covered with oil, so. That's funny. Okay, let that run in. Other than the oil I got all over my arm, I did a pretty good job of not spilling any. Alright, that's going to take a minute to get off the filter, so I'm just going to pour that there. And I just spilled some oil. Alright, good time to change the gloves so I don't get oil all over my wrench for the drain plug. Alright, see if the camera, I can see if it's focused on the drain plug now. Alright, can you see that? Sorry, the camera is actually on the ground. And I gotta kind of just say, okay, we're in frame. So of course, just like everything else, tighten, loosen. Okay, at least that came off easy. And then what I do with my other glove, and here you're gonna see why I like the dish pan better. So what you can do with this, significantly easier to, as you take the nut off, to just lift this right under it, because the oil tends to shoot quite far when you first pop the drain plug, and this allows you to catch it where it shoots, then lower it into place and follow it, and all the while still catching the oil that's dripping from the filter. Okay, and then we just follow it. Wait a minute for most of it to drain out. Creep over a little bit more, and that's it. And we're just gonna wait. So I tend to wait a couple hours. This oil's black, but it really doesn't have that many miles on it. It's just old, because I don't put more than 5,000 to 10,000 a year on this thing tops now that it's semi-retired. It's not my road trip vehicle anymore, and I don't really have to commute very far. So the oil just gets old. And even full synthetic, I believe the recommendation is you should change it every year. So what better time to change it than right around New Year's? So I'm gonna take a break, let this drain, because as it drains, right, I let it sit for a while, because the really thick gunk will take a while to make its way to the drain plug. Some people will say, if you really want to be thorough, to pour a quart of clean oil in and let it flush everything out. Yeah, this oil's not that dirty. This thing gets routine oil changes every couple thousand miles, so I'm not going to do that step. I'm just going to let it sit for a bit. Right, Muggsy? All right, so I'm going to go clean up real quick and then get dirty again. I'll be back. All right, disregard the gunk that's sitting right there, and look, it's been over an hour and a half and it's still slowly dripping out, but I think I've let it go far enough. Let's look at what we're going to use for oil and the oil filter. All right, for oil, this truck has over 200,000 miles. Now, over 100,000 miles, this is what I use anyway. This is what I use in the Avalanche, which is 140,000. I use the Platinum high mileage, full synthetic, 530. This is good stuff. Pennzoil is good oil. It's not as flashy a brand as some of the ones that advertise a lot, but this has always been good oil, and this stuff is great. It says it'll last 7,000 miles. In fact, this says 7,500. I do not do that. I probably change it. In this case, it's 12 months, but probably 3,000 to 4,000 miles. But that's just me. You can let it go longer. Here's the filter I use, and I use this because this is what AutoZone has. It's very rare that they have another size or a brand for this, and this is a pretty good filter anyway. This is the S3675XL filter. There is also an S3675 that I believe is not as long life. This says it's good for 10,000 miles. I don't know why there would be such a disparity between that, because nobody's going to leave their filter in for 10,000 miles unless somebody that's not really taking care of their vehicle. Now, this step I'm about to do, there are two schools of thought on it, and I disagree with one school of thought on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to half fill the new oil filter with oil. I don't fill it all the way up, which is probably a better practice, but I don't fill it all the way up simply because it will kind of tends to spill a little bit when you try to install it. There are people who will argue that this isn't a good practice, and their argument is so odd. I don't get it. It's that you're putting oil right from the thing that's not been filtered yet, and their belief is that it's not quite as particle free as oil that goes through the block and then into the engine. I do not agree with that. I don't even think it makes much sense. But so what I've done is I poured it's about half full, and then take your finger, or if you got a glove on, and just rub it around the gasket. So you put some oil around this edge, which helps it seal and prevents it from leaking. So now it's ready to go in. Let me get a close up. So you can see the oil is a little more than half full, or about half full in there. And I've moistened the gasket with some motor oil. And now it is ready to go in. So let's get back to where we were. I'm using my patented clamp camera holder. It's not really patented. It's just a clever idea I came up with for job sites. All right, tilt it up so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is reach up in here and put the filter in. If I can keep my gloves from getting oily, I will have no trouble hand tightening this to the degree that it requires. I seldom am able to do that, and I can see it already. So because this is an old engine and it does leak some oil, I will not be able to actually just hand tighten this guy enough. But okay, so let me put the drain plug in. And it's kind of stopped dripping. Get my 15 millimeter. Do not over tighten these, okay? Again, my practice is I don't grab the wrench here to tighten it. I grab it right here. That's tight enough. These don't tend to fall out or leak. So by grabbing the wrench here, there's only so much pressure you can put on. I'm not doing a full fisted grab. That's it. That's all you need. If you go further, you could strip it. Now, I'm going to use the socket wrench to do this because I've got too much oil on the filter to hand tighten it. But again, when you do this, do not over tighten this filter at all. You don't need to. So I'm going to do, again, just grab it down here and go to about where I think I could have hand tightened it. Give it a second for the gasket to compress a little bit, and that's probably the most I could have hand tightened it. And we're in. Check it one more time. And let's see. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so filter's in, drain plug's in, grab our tools, and we slide out. We're done underneath the truck. So we can just grab the cardboard and slide everything out. I got one glove in there. I shouldn't have done that. Alright. So what I do with the filter, what I'm going to do with this oily glove as well, is I put it back in the box from the new filter. And you can take this back to AutoZone along with your oil, and they'll recycle it. Okay, I've got a clean pair of gloves, and here's my filter. And you want to make sure that you wipe these things down. Just sitting in the garage, they have a habit of collecting dust, and you don't want to pour any dust into your engine. These trucks take 6 quarts, thereabouts. Pretty clean. Okay, let's look at where we put it in. And jack this thing up. Okay, so all you do to add oil is right there. Pop that off. Put it somewhere where you won't lose it. Put your funnel in. Okay. Now, I find that these tend to spill less if you tilt them sideways. We know this will take at least 5 and probably 6. So I'm going to empty this one completely. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold, and I have a runny nose, so I'm sniffling a lot, which unfortunately will be on camera. All right, I just leave it like that, let the last few drops of it run out. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, it says it takes 6 quarts, and these are 5. So I've got about half a quart left in this guy. No, it's actually more than half. I thought it was half, but it was actually almost full. So we're just gonna go ahead, and that should probably do it. Same thing, let this sit there and run in on its own. While that happens, we're going to transfer the oil back to that. So the used oil is going to go back in that. Now, transferring a big vat of oil into one of these can be a little tricky because these tend to fall over. That's what the bucket's for. The bucket will stop it from falling over. So let me make sure you're in frame. You're in frame fine. So then, and notice I'm not even putting this on the cardboard because I'm that confident that it's not going to spill, but I'm really not that confident. So I am going to put it there. Make sure it's still in frame. Not exactly, but there you go. So with it in the bucket, I can then just pick this guy up and pour it. It's always interesting to see when you change your oil, how many quarts come out. I'm fairly confident that it will not be more than 5 quarts. Because all old vehicles leak a little, burn a little. This actually leaks and burns significantly less than most. These quart things have a little indicator. So I've got 3.5 in there. 4. 4.5. 5. It's just a little over 5, it looks like. That's not bad. Not bad at all. So I'm going to leave this thing at an angle to kind of gather that little bit of oil into one spot in the corner. And that pretty much does it. You just go back. Because it's almost impossible to read the oil when you first put it in on camera, I'm going to show you this. It's 2 weeks have gone by, a few hundred miles, and we're going to look to see where this is at. And so first thing you want to do, you can see where the oil level is here, which right off the bat reads full, but you want to just wipe the dipstick off and go back in, take it out, and you'll see we're full. Hopefully that's in focus. And we're right there. So we're right where it should be. You can see this only has like 200 miles on it, and now already there's some color to the oil, a little brown. Put your cap back on. And your oil has changed. So what I'm gonna do next, just a final step, and everyone who changes their oil should do this, whether you've done it a million times or just once. I'm gonna start the truck and let it run a minute, and I'm gonna see if anything's leaking. So if you didn't tighten your drain plug enough and didn't tighten your filter enough, it will leak. And this is the best time to spot it because it's the easiest to fix it. You certainly don't want it leaking on the road and then you run out of oil. All right, let's look under it, see if we got anything. No leaks. We're probably good to go. I'm gonna back it off the ramp. See, I did spill a little. Ran down my arm. Let me back it down the ramp. All right, let me get my last bit of used oil into the Pennzoil 5-quart container. I'll put the cap back on if I can find it. It'll be around here somewhere. And then we're done. So that's it. So that's how you change your oil in a Suburban, Tahoe, Yukon, probably same thing, Silverado. I believe if they've got the 5.3 V8, they all take 530, and they all take that same oil filter. And that's quite a few years used that filter. It's pretty easy to find. So, you know, now you know how to reset your oil warning light as well. And that's it. So, as I always say, even if it's your first time changing your oil, it's pretty easy. Don't be intimidated. Just go out, get busy. Take care.